What's up, guys? This is Top Notch here. Next to me is my brand new 2020 F4i build. That's what we're gonna call it. It's not a 2001 to 2006 anymore. This is a 2020 right here. I broke this bike down here in Las Vegas, and on my road trip out to XCL Cleveland, Ohio, we ended up stopping in Kentucky, good Leachville, Kentucky, where Cox StuntParts is located. And for a solid week, we powder coated this whole thing. They built the cages, we powder coated that. Matthew Glasscock is awesome for that. I was not expecting for this thing to be knocked out in a week, but we got everything solid for me to take home back to Las Vegas, and I didn't have to pay shit for shipping. Shout out to Mike at Cox StuntParts as well for doing all the powder coat. It looks amazing. So far I've gotten a ton of compliments on this bike. We'll start off first with the colors of the powder coat. The blue all on the tank and the wheels is just a cheater blue. The red frame and subframe is going to be a racing red. And all the silver on the bike, the swing arm, the subcage, the cage, and the forks is an alien silver. The front wheel is laced with a Dunlop Q3 front tire. This is a super aggressive and really grippy front tire, very consistent as well. Also on the front wheel we have the EBC V rotors. Shout out to EBC for those, because if it wasn't for them I wouldn't have these on my bike. They are a little expensive, but they are super nice. Well worth it. The front calipers, I'm running EBC track day pads. They are super aggressive. I do recommend them, but just be careful. They bite super hard. It makes these non-radial calipers feel like radials, and I'm super impressed with those. In the front forks, I'm trying out some new things. I'm trying out the Racetech front springs. I don't weigh that much, but I set them for a little bit more just to compensate for slamming down hard, stuff like that. Front controls, I am running the Elite Mototech 2-finger clutch. This thing's amazing, it feels awesome. A lot of people think it doesn't work, that's how butter it is. I'm also running the Akasoto 16x18 Master for the handbrake. This also feels great. I love the Akasoto line, very consistent pressure, always. For the stunt triple, I'm running the SS Moto Parts brand. This thing is super clean, it's like a work of art. You have the awesome risers here, and this one's actually pushed forward a little bit, so you can mount a GPR stabilizer right here. I don't have that yet because that's pretty damn expensive, so I'm working on that, but it's coming soon. I just like the real clean look up here, and I'm actually kind of excited to have my bars pushed up a little forward. That gives your forks a little bit more clearance if you want to drop them down or something like that. Over on the other side, this triple allows you to mount your reservoirs underneath and hide them so you don't kick them or anything like that. Freshens up the bike in the front end really clean and gets them out of the way for you nice and tight. I'm running steel braided lines from Hale Performance. These things are awesome, they're super clean, you can get them in a lot of great colors. This blue just happened to match my bike pretty damn well. I'm also running seal savers to protect the seals in the bike. These F4i seals for the stock front end actually seem to last quite good, so I'm hoping that these will make it last even longer. For the front brake, I am running the 19x18 Akasoto Master. I think this was built by Graveyard Customs. This is actually the second time he's built this same tank. When I first got my old bike, this tank was flat, just a flat lip like that. And on my other bike, I actually had to make a bowl tank that I love. I wanted him to try that again with this one. It ended up being a little bit different, but it still has a nice bowl shape. This lip ended up being about a 1/4 inch taller than my other bike, but I'm actually a huge fan of this tank now. I feel like you're locked in, you're not going nowhere. It kind of allows you to free your hands off the bars a little bit and not have to hang on like monkey bars. So really like this tank. Graveyard killed this. I'm super impressed with it. All right, down to the radiator. You definitely need some type of protection on this thing. If you don't, I'm sure you've broken these tabs up top, or you've actually shredded the whole bracket across here. This is a DCP radiator, damage control parts, Mr. David Boyd. This is an awesome thing. Once you put this on, only way you're gonna ruin your radiator is if your fan is smacking the inside of it and you bust a hole in it. So this thing is awesome, it protects it very well, and it's solid. This thing ain't going anywhere. The crash cage protection is made by Cox StuntParts. This is his mini cage. He makes 2 different designs for the F4i. On my other bike, I was running the dual cage with the crossbar underneath, but with this one, I'm not crashing as hard, I don't feel like. So I think this one's a little bit better after you learn after a while. I've usually just been a fan of the stock rear sets, but I've been trying out these ESD rear sets and I actually like them a lot. I'm a big fan of them. I thought I wasn't going to like the shortness of these pegs, but it's not actually that bad. They have a lot of grip here, so it doesn't really feel like you're going anywhere. On my other bike, I had some dingy exhaust. I don't even know what it was. I've been told it's an Akrapovic, but I'm not even sure. On this new bike, I wanted to try a low mount RSC because it frees up the rear brake section and you can work on this a lot better. So I actually am liking this so far. I like the sound of it. I'm running with the baffle in. I'm going to keep it like that just to try and keep the bike a little quieter. I'm running the SS Moto saggy ass fix. Highly recommend it. It stiffens up the rear shock, kind of changes the angle of it. And also lifts up the rear end just about maybe 2 inches, so it gives you a lot more clearance and changes the balance point. I like it a lot. Some people don't, but I recommend it. Cox StuntParts is awesome, but this cage is way more awesome. The bend on this allows for certain tricks to lock you in like no tomorrow. A lot of blindside stuff. You ain't going nowhere, I promise. It might change up some of the regular Ralph Laurie, some of the left side peg tricks, but you'll get used to it after a while, and I promise anyone that ends up buying this, they end up loving this thing. I'm running the banana subframe, and if you want to go ahead and keep any type of subcage that you're running, you'll have to go ahead and buy these from Cox StuntParts. These are banana subframe adapters. Great invention. These are only like 60 bucks, but it's a lot better than having to buy a whole new subcage just to fit this little bracket right here. Not sure why they changed it up. Damn Honda for that, but that's alright. That's the only thing I dislike. These are made by Area 51 Seats. He's a great friend, great guy as well. I have no type of buildup on this anything. It's all stock. It's just a cover around this. But he hand sews everything and adds the ribs in the middle for more grip. This is also grippy material, high quality grippy material. And we're trying out new seat on this one. He like quadruple stitched it, so we're hoping it lasts a little bit longer, but yeah. Well worth the price, and highly recommend it. For the rear brake setup, I am running the SS Moto triple cal bracket with the big rotor. I believe this is a 300 mil rotor. Like I say, with the triple cal bracket. I'm a huge fan of these monoblock calipers. I love them, love them. I run all 3 of them the same. A lot of people don't like the 4-piston foot brake, but like I said, after a while you get used to it. The reason why I like this is because the brake pedal feels consistent all the way down to if you're running on metal almost. If you have like no pads, it still feels real touchy. With a 2-piston or something like that, you start to feel it gets softer and softer after a while. These are Hale Performance lines all going here. These are awesome. They look super clean. In the rear, I am running the EBC 88 centered pads. Alright, I keep getting asked if I'm going to put a 12 bar or 1 o'clock plate on my bike. Yes, I'm going to put a 1 o'clock plate on here. But I actually cut this subcage about 3 inches. Normally if you look at a stock subcage, it comes out past the seat about 1 inch or so. But I learned that after a while when I was dropping back real hard, trying certain clutch club tricks, that I kept smacking the subframe, and it was getting in my way. 12 bars for sure are getting in my way because they come all the way out here. So I actually like this one. On my old bike, I loved scraping the subframe and the seat, but I blew everything out. It looks like shit now. So on this new bike, yes, I'm going to put the 1 o'clock plate here. I just wish I would have grinded these welds down before we did the powder coat to slide the 1 o'clock plate on there. So really, I'm just scared to fucking grind this down. So we'll see what happens. One of my favorite things on this bike is my Mike Jensen mod. If you've talked to Mike Jensen, you could learn a thing or two. He's a really cool guy. But this is a simple trick. This is just plywood. I'm sure there's something cooler you guys could do out there. There's always something cooler that can be done. But this is very simple. This just protects your seat like a bracket. And if you don't have something there protecting it, these brackets right here, you'll for sure bend them. I don't weigh anything, and I bent them in like 30 minutes. So also, I've went ahead and drilled through these where the seat locks into right there, and I ran screws through there, so I really locked the seat in. It's locked in the back, and it's locked in right here, so this thing cannot go nowhere. If you ever seen, it was Eli in Arizona, you saw him riding, or not, it was either Eli or Justin. It was either Eli or Justin there riding streets in Arizona, and the whole freaking banana seat shot off, and he went flying down the road. So after I saw that, we went ahead and locked this thing up, and it's not going anywhere. I am running the Griffey Star. I got that from the 6 shop. You can run it either in the 4th degree or the 2nd degree. I like the 4th one. It seems a little bit peppier on the low idle, and I don't have any bog in both of my bikes. That's what I've been running, so I'm gonna stick with that. For the sprocket setup, we went big boy. This is also the same on my other bike. but this is a 64 in the rear, and I got a 14 up front with a 525 chain. I like the 525 chain, it seems a little bit stronger. I've never had my chain pop or anything like that. The setup's a little bit expensive, but it's well worth it. It really wakes this bike up. I kind of feel like it's just as powerful, if not more powerful, than a 636 in the lot. It's got a crazy amount of torque. I went with these colors to have kind of a Red Bull theme going here. I might be dreaming a little big, but maybe one day I could be a sponsored Red Bull rider. That'd be badass. Shout out to all the sponsors that helped me out with this bike, because it definitely would not look as clean if it wasn't for them. I have a lot of great parts on here that I probably would be a lot longer for me to buy. They hooked it up for sure, and I got a lot more support than I ever thought I would have on this bike. Now let's just hope I can keep it this pretty, right?